Today we're going to go over how to unlock everything for your Prismatic subclass. This includes your abilities, your supers, your aspects, as well as all of the fragments. Now first things first, after the first campaign mission where you unlock Prismatic, you will start with a good amount of these things. You'll have 2 supers, 2 melees, 2 grenades, and 2 aspects per class, along with 6 starting fragments. Those being Facet of Hope, Facet of Protection, Facet of Purpose, Facet of Ruin, Facet of Dawn, as well as Facet of Courage. Now as you progress through the campaign, you'll receive additional supers, 2 melees, 2 grenades, and 1 more aspect, that one being brand new. You'll also earn 2 more fragments, that being Facet of Balance and Facet of Blessing. Now you can't miss these. There'll be prismatic shining chests that spawn alongside your campaign rewards. I'm actually not even sure if you can continue the campaign if you skip collecting these. But after completing the campaign, you'll be given the Destined Heroes quest. We're not going to get into this too much, as this is to unlock the exotic sword, Ergo Sum. You can check out our guide that we've already done on it. But during this quest, you'll be given 2 side quests, one called Lost in Light and the other one called Found in the Dark. Now, completing these quests are important as they will give you your final remaining light grenade, aspect, and super, with the Dark quest giving the Last Darkness melee aspect and super. Now these are pretty straightforward quests. It's a good chance you may have already completed them, especially if you already acquired Ergo Sum. But again, if you want a step-by-step guide on how to do this, we have a full guide in the description down below. But essentially, those quests boil down to a few missions with reoccurring mechanics. Now for Lost in Light, you'll need to dunk moats, as well as spawn these homing shanks to take out shields. And for the Found in Dark quest, the main mechanic is going to be destroying Cabal shield generators, either with an antenna to get a beam to fire down on it, or by throwing an unstable power unit at it. And after each successful mission, you will get one of those abilities. Now, on to how to obtain the remaining prismatic fragments, which is why I'm sure most of you are here. We're going to start with Facet of Bravery. Now, this fragment is unlocked during the Ascent campaign mission, which is pretty early on. Upon loading in, you progress through like normal. You clear the first combat room, then ascend up the mountain, following the marker like normal until you reach this area with part of a plane. And take note of the surrounding right here, guys, so you have an understanding of where you may be. But instead of going through it, I want you to look to your right and then down. Down below, there will be a section of the plane that you can drop onto, and there will be a chest there which will grant you Facet of Bravery. Next, we have Facet of Devotion. This is another fragment that can be found while in a story mission, specifically the Descent mission. This one comes near the end of the mission though, after you kill the Scorn boss during the escape portion of this mission. You'll probably remember it as it's these weird platforms that look like Legos and they start to disappear. But essentially, you want to head up the pathway as if you're escaping. But instead of following the marker, which tells you to go right, you want to now head all the way down to the end and look either to your left or right, depending on which side of the pillars that you're on. But either way, at the end here, you will find a chest which will give you Facet of Devotion. And keep in mind, guys, you can do this literally while you're doing the campaign. So if you're in the middle of the campaign, feel free to knock this out. Next, we have Facet of Sacrifice. This particular fragment is found during the final campaign mission, Iconoclasm. Here you will progress through the campaign until you reach the building for the witness fight. You'll go into the first room that has the cut up creature, the dog you've seen multiple times in all the trailers, but here you want to go to your left. You look up and you'll see a light and a little corridor that you can jump up into. Crouch and keep following the path until you reach the chest, which will give you Facet of Sacrifice. Next, we have Facet of Command. The easiest way to get this is by loading into the impasse and heading towards the Cosmodrome wall. You can then continue to follow the path that I take on the screen that you see here until we get to the ice section of this area. Now going forward, you'll see the chest, but it's locked saying it needs a divided prismatic key. Now to obtain this, you start by turning around and walking a bit towards the direction you just came in. And you'll notice this ice wall with some holes in it and some crates that you can jump on. Guys, you want to go on these crates and you'll be able to actually fit inside the holes at the top. Inside here, you'll be able to transmat a scorched cannon, and then you can blow up the ice around the deposit spots. You'll also see an ice structure that can be shot at, and they drop these charges, and there will be more scattered throughout this area, each with a different elemental charge. Now the goal is to then take these charges and deposit them at each one of these fallen interfaces. Now here's the kicker. If you notice on these interfaces, there are bars that light up when you put the charges inside of them. The goal is to reach 10 charges on both sides. elements. Now here's the fun part. The elemental charges have different amounts of charge. For instance, Arc gives you 2 bars, Solar gives you 3, and Void gives you 4. Now I'm sure there's multiple ways to do this. Again, at the end of the day, you just got to get the 10. But we started with an Arc charge in that right deposit spot, and then followed up with 2 Void charges afterward. The main thing is finding these charges. The first Void charge can be found right outside the wall in front of you. The next Void charge can be found by heading in the direction of the chest. You keep going past it, and then once you get to this walkway, take a right and jump across to the platforms. You'll head to the end of the platforms, and an ice structure will be to the right that you can shoot. Now, let me also mention it is so much easier to have teammates doing this with you. So if you actually are in our Discord, feel free to hit up our LFG. We've got folks hunting down these fragments. So much better to go about it this way, as literally one of you could be melting that ice, dropping those charges, and the other person can pick them up and slot them in. Now, upon depositing those 2 Void charges and that Arc charge, that will give you a full 10, and you'll get a chat message indicating you've done so correctly. Now you have to get the left side also filled up to 10. Coming out of the wall and taking a right, you'll see another ice pile. This will drop an Arc charge. Continuing on in that direction to the right, you'll enter a room that's split in 2 with an ice side and a non-ice side. Here you want to go left towards the ice side, and into the side room, this pile will drop a solar charge, which again counts for 3. Then you'll head back to the split room with the ice and non-ice side, and keep heading toward the direction you first entered this area, and you'll find another ice pile. This one will have an Arc charge. Then the last charge you will need, you head back to the middle area where the chest is. Go past it and head straight until you can take a left, and here you will see the final pile, which will give us our solar charge. Now, once all charges have been deposited, a text on the screen will pop up saying you will drown in the deep, and you'll get a bunch of ads that will spawn in. You'll kill them all, including the subjugator, which you'll need prismatic for, by the way. But afterwards, a dividend prismatic key will be waiting on the ground for you. This is what's going to be needed to open the chest, and now you have Facet of Command. Next, we have Facet of Defiance. For this one, you load into the impasse, then go forward until you reach the next area, the transgression, and you just continue to follow the path that we take here on the screen. Now, once you get to this area with some trees and a rock that's in the middle here, go right and head towards the purple crystal. Now here, there will be a darkness ball that you can shoot, allowing you to be shielded from darkness for 30 seconds, similar to the mechanic inside of the campaign. Remember to reactivate this buff though every 30 seconds so you don't end up dying. Now you're gonna head forward through the cave, and you'll see the chest, which will require another prismatic key. You'll also see a darkness object that you can interact with, which will spawn a shielded husk and some taken eyes you need to destroy to remove his immunity shield. You'll need to do this 3 times, with each round spawning more husk and more eyes to destroy. Just run around the cave looking for eyes here, guys, while continuing to avoid husk and reprocking your buff. Now, if you can't find an eye, try to follow your minimap, as they'll show up as an enemy. Now, keep in mind, more eyes get added with each wave, so just keep looking. And even all the way out to the front of the cave, they'll be back there. And always keep an eye on that countdown. But after doing 3 waves, you activate this pyramid object again, and this will spawn more dread to kill, including a tormentor, who you actually need prismatic to break the shield off. Now, once this tormentor is killed, they'll drop a transgressive prismatic key, which you can now use to open the chest for Facet of Defiance. Next, we have Facet of Grace. For Facet of Grace, you want to load into the Lost City and then head backwards in the direction of the first campaign mission. Now, once you get outside, head right and into the building where you'll see the chest requiring a key. Now, some enemies will spawn, including an Omen, who you need to kill. But once dead, you'll see a text saying the first Omen defeated. You can find the next one by heading back to that center area, and this time heading left. You'll find more enemies and another Omen to defeat. Now, once he's dead, you'll see the text second Omen defeated. You'll head back to the middle area, and this time go towards the far left corner and jump over to this red platform, then towards the next set of enemies. Now, once the last Omen is defeated, you'll see the text saying the foretold arrives. And in that middle area, a shielded tormentor will spawn, along with some ads and some subjugators that need prismatic to deal damage to. Now, once the subjugators are defeated, you can then deal damage to the tormentor, who will drop the elevated prismatic key, which you can then take to open the chest, giving you Facet of Grace. Now, next we have Facet of Justice. This one is located within the landing area and near where you find Crow in the campaign. Now, take the path on the screen. We'll enter this room and find the chest in front of 3 hive symbols. Now to unlock this chest, we need to dunk this solar crystal into 3 specific braziers. Now these are found in this outer ring area. Now to find out which braziers you're supposed to dunk the solar crystal in, when you pick up the crystal, this will cause symbols to spawn facing the chest. Now you can either keep going back and forth to each side to check the symbols, or you can simply have a teammate down below in the middle and they'll call them out. And again, it goes from top to bottom. The goal here is to simply dunk on each brazier that has the symbols that you initially saw. Now I'm not sure if this is necessary, but we did it in order from top to bottom. But just take a look at those outer rings, guys. Match it up with the order of the hive runes that you saw there in the middle. Bring the solar crystal over there and dunk it in. Again, this is much easier with the teammate, as they can literally just sit in the middle and shoot at each of the braziers you need to go dunk at. Now each successful dunk will be marked with the quotes, "It draws closer." You'll see it right there in the chat. Now you'll know you've done this right when upon doing this, for all 3 symbols, some ads will spawn in, including a subjugator. After defeating these ads, you'll then get the refracting key as a drop, and then be able to unlock the chest and claim Facet of Justice. Next we have Facet of Mending. To get this, we need to find 4 lost ghosts across a wide area. Now to start, we want to be close to where we got Facet of Grace and where we had to defeat the omens. Essentially, guys, keep heading backwards from there towards the beginning of the campaign, and as you take the path that we are on, you'll notice a ghost icon appear in the top right of your screen. When you see this, pull out your ghost and you'll notice your ghost won't be facing you. Instead, they'll be facing the direction where a ghost is. And yes, guys, you can continue moving with this ghost in hand, and it will continue facing the direction and adjusting as you get closer to where the ghost is. Now there's one here on this post sticking out from the wall. Then follow the path that we're taking here. We stop at this ghost under some stairs. Then you'll continue on to this ghost above the doorway. And then onto our final ghost around the corner inside the speaker's weird machine thing. Now once you've picked up all 4 ghosts, now you need to head forward just a bit more until you see the prismatic chest with the capture plate just next to it. Now you stand on this, and you'll kill ads until the final boss subjugator spawns. Now once they've been defeated, the overgrown key will drop and you'll get Facet of Mending. Now for our final group of 5 fragments. The relevant chests here are easy to get to, but they require some additional grinding to actually unlock. These chests will make use of those memory vestiges that you may have already found in your inventory. So to start, we'll be looking at the 2 fragments that are tied to darkness memory vestiges. What happens is that you need to get 5 of the rare currency, the blue ones here, which will then transform into a legendary one. Now you get these by opening these corrupted chests that are scattered throughout the Pale Heart. Unfortunately, your ghosts do not pick up these chests. You have to visually just see it. But if you're having trouble finding one, my best advice is just to look around the daily overthrow location. In my findings, it seems like there's always at least 1 darkness chest active at all times in these areas, with the location moving after you open one. Now each of these chests will have a random objective that's tied to it. Some of them require you to cleanse taken energy by running over it, connecting the dots by running from orb to orb, and you'll see the direction in which it wants you to go. And at the end of it, you'll shoot this spore thingy, and then you can head on over to the chest and then loot it. Another objective is you running through these resonant light pillars. You'll see them beaming up to the sky, guys. Run over to them, pick them up, and then you can pick up the chest. Another one is destroying pustules with your grenade ability. There's also another one where you have to push a ball into this platform. After you spawn it in, you literally just shoot it with your weapon. Don't use your melee. It doesn't really work good. Just use your weapon. But essentially, after doing these chests, you will receive a memory vestige darkness. And when you collect 5 of them, you'll get a legendary version that will immediately convert. Now, the moment you see that you have a legendary version, take a look at the name of it in your inventory. The name literally indicates the location of where it is on the map. Then you can pull up the map and you'll actually see the highlighted area. It'll be a circled area and you can select it, which will allow you to track your path to that area wherever you may be. Now we're going to start the first of this group off with Facet of Honor. This is tied to memory divisive darkness. Now starting at the impasse, go back into the Cosmodrome wall, continuing all the way through it and keep going up. Literally don't stop going up until you reach the very top. If you're ever like, dude, how much further does it go? You just gotta keep going. I know it sucks. Now once you've made it all the way to the top, jump down and to the left, and there will be a chest that will be sitting right here on top of this ledge. Now if you don't have the memory device of darkness, this won't be there, and this walk is long enough, so don't go all the way up here unless you got that thing. But open this chest and you will get the Facet of Honor. Next we have Facet of Solitude, another fragment requiring a dark memory. Again, you can match the name in your inventory with the area on the map, and again, just select that search area. Follow the path, though, that we're taking, and this one is found as we head towards the Transgression and the Witness's Monolith. This is where we have to jump off this ledge, and the chest will be found right here. And there you go, guys. You have the Facet of Solitude. Now, in contrast to the 2 fragments that are locked behind darkness memories, we have 3 that require light memories. Now, just like its counterparts, you need 5 rare items to get 1 named legendary. And these are not obtained from chests, but rather we get them from defeating shimmering enemies within Sys missions. And these can be found on your map, like so, and are launched by physically interacting with them. You just have to follow the bird and objective marker until you reach a door that needs to be opened. When inside of these missions, the only thing that matters is killing those shimmering enemies. Each one will give us a light memory, and you can rack up 5 of these very quickly from 1 mission. But just repeat this process for each of the 3 fragments that require them, which takes us to our first of the light memory fragments, Facet of Generosity. Now, this is tied specifically to the item Memory Blooming of Light. Again, pull up your map, look at the search area, select it, and continue to this area, and here you'll find in the blooming, the chest will be located just under the giant corrupted tree of silver wings. Next, we have Facet of Dominance. This fragment requires you to have memory seclusions of light. Now, the search area for this one is within the seclusion where Zavala's home is, which is a hell of a walk. But here you'll find the chest near this waterfall cave opening just above us, right here on the ledge. And finally, we have Facet of Awakening. This is the last fragment, guys, and this will be tied to memory refractions of light. Again, not much of a puzzle. You start at the blooming, then head backwards towards refraction. And once we're in this open grassy area, the prismatic chest will be on a tree root up high. You'll see it right up here, guys. Interact with that to claim Facet of Awakening. And that's it, guys. That is how you unlock every aspect and fragment in the game. Some of these are a lot more complicated than others, and yes, it will be a time commitment, which is normally the case when unlocking anything in our subclasses. What's wild, though, is that there doesn't seem to be anything that's locked behind the raid. Normally, a couple fragments, somewhere around 4, maybe 5, are locked behind the raid. But in this case, we've got them all. So right now, guys, you can run and grab all of these fragments and start build crafting your heart's away. Again, for those that are looking to get the exotic sword, which is a very, very special sword, and those quests are very much interlocked with unlocking everything in the Pale Hearts, feel free to check out our guide down below. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.